The courtroom air was frigid, taut like a sharpened blade. Judge Richard Alden, renowned for his stern, uncompromising demeanor, was poised to deliver his verdict. But then, a tiny voice sliced through the heavy silence. "I'm so hungry." Everyone froze. Eyes darted towards the little girl who dared to interrupt the proceedings. Her mother, seated beside her, paled, gripped by sheer terror. But what unfolded next left the entire courtroom in stunned disbelief. How would New York's most unyielding judge react to such innocent words? Stay tuned, this story will take you on a roller coaster of surprises. Before we dive into the main narrative, please comment with your city's name and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more inspiring tales. The story begins. In a tense courtroom, a strict judge was about to deliver his verdict when a little girl shattered the silence. "I'm so hungry." The entire room went still. Her mother was mortified, but the judge's subsequent action astonished everyone and changed everything. Before we start, please comment where you're watching from, and if you enjoy stories like this, subscribe for more. Let's begin. Emily Davis woke before dawn as she always did. The small apartment she shared with her 6-year-old daughter, Lily, was quiet, save for the distant rumble of the city streets. Brooklyn never slept, but Emily rarely did either. This morning was no different, except today, instead of rushing to her job at the downtown bakery, she had to appear in court for what seemed like a minor infraction yet loomed so large, a $200 parking ticket. As Emily gazed at Lily still sound asleep, clutching her favorite stuffed rabbit, a wave of guilt washed over her. She hadn't intentionally parked illegally, she had been desperately trying to buy fever medicine for Lily last week. Now, they were trapped in a predicament she couldn't afford. "Let's go, Lily," she whispered gently, stroking her daughter's curls. "We have to go." The Brooklyn courthouse was intimidating. The ceilings were high, the walls gray, and the guards stood as stern as statues. Emily felt small as she gripped Lily's hand, walking in. People whispered about Judge Richard Alden, the man they were about to face. He was renowned throughout New York as an uncompromising judge, one who followed the law to the letter, no exceptions. Emily didn't know how she could possibly convince a man like that to waive her fine. While waiting for her turn, Emily rehearsed her plea in her head. "Your Honor, I'm a single mother. I only parked for a few minutes. I can't afford to take time off work." The court clerk's voice cut through her thoughts. "Case number 118, Emily Davis." Emily swallowed hard. "Let's go, Lily," she whispered. The little girl looked up with trusting eyes as they approached the bench where Judge Alden sat, stern, expressionless, and towering behind his massive desk. Judge Alden flipped through the file with methodical precision, his tone cold and sharp as a blade. The rhythmic rustling of paper filled the tense courtroom like the ticking of an invisible clock, counting down to the verdict. "You parked illegally in a handicapped spot," Judge Alden stated, his gruff voice echoing through the room. "Do you deny this, Emily Davis?" Emily Davis felt her knees weaken. She clutched Lily's small hand like a lifeline, trying to steady herself. "No, Your Honor, I—" Before she could finish her sentence, a tiny voice shattered the oppressive silence of the courtroom. "Can we have pancakes?" The words hung in the air for a heartbeat, then two. The sound seemed to bounce off the walls, amplifying the shock Emily felt. Every eye in the courtroom was now fixed on them. Her pulse pounded and her face flushed crimson. A collective gasp rippled through the room like a communal intake of breath before a storm. Whispers spread through the crowd. Murmurs, stifled laughter, wide-eyed astonishment. Who dared to interrupt Judge Richard Alden, the most unyielding figure in the Brooklyn judicial system? Even Judge Alden froze mid-sentence, his pen suspended in midair as if someone had slammed on the brakes. Time seemed to freeze as he slowly raised his piercing gaze from the papers to Lily's small voice, Emily's 6-year-old daughter, standing barely as tall as the podium beside her mother. Emily's heart stopped. "Lily," she hissed, mortified, bending slightly, gripping her daughter's shoulders. "What are you doing?" But Lily looked up at her mother, unfazed and unconcerned, her big brown eyes filled with innocence. "My tummy is making noises," she said matter-of-factly, pointing to her stomach. "I'm hungry." The murmur of the crowd erupted into a ripple of suppressed giggles, disbelief mingling with amusement. A few people in the courtroom exchanged glances, trying to hide their smiles behind their hands. Even the court clerk's stern expression wavered, the corner of his mouth twitching. For what seemed like an eternity, Judge Alden sat motionless, his usually cold and hard eyes regarding the little girl with something akin to curiosity, something no one in the room had ever seen from him. Emily's stomach churned. This is it, she thought, her heart pounding. This is the moment he punishes us. Then, in a move that stunned the entire courtroom, Judge Alden slowly raised an eyebrow. "Did you say pancakes?" His voice was not sharp, not accusatory, almost inquisitive. The entire room fell into stunned silence, no one daring to breathe. Emily blinked at the judge, unable to comprehend what she had just heard. Beside her, Lily nodded enthusiastically. Yes, pancakes with syrup. This time, the silence could not be contained. Laughter burst from the crowd. Someone coughed to cover it, another snorted, and soon, the tension shattered like ice on a pond. Emily buried her face in her hands, her cheeks burning like fire. She wanted to sink into the floor, to disappear into nothingness. I'm so sorry, Your Honor, she blurted out, her voice barely audible over the laughter. She's just hungry. It's been a long morning, and we rushed here, so. Judge Alden raised a hand and the courtroom fell silent again. Emily pressed her lips together, her chest heaving as she braced for his wrath. But there was no anger on Judge Alden's face. He leaned back in his high leather chair, his sharp features softened by something unrecognizable, an expression somewhere between amusement and contemplation. Miss Davis, he said evenly, though there was a hint of warmth in his tone, are you telling me you didn't have time for breakfast this morning? Emily swallowed. No, Your Honor, it's just we rushed here. She glanced at Lily, who stood tall, her hands clasped in front of her, as if she had made the most reasonable request in the world. Judge Alden looked back at Lily, who met his gaze unflinchingly. There was no fear in her eyes, only trust, the kind of trust only a child could place in a stranger in a black robe. What's your name, young lady? Judge Alden asked. Lily, she said confidently, but you can call me Liv. Another ripple of soft laughter spread through the room. Even Emily, despite her embarrassment, couldn't help but smile slightly at her daughter's fearless response. Well, Liv, the judge said, his voice surprisingly gentle, I don't believe anyone has ever requested pancakes in my courtroom before. Liv tilted her head thoughtfully. Maybe you should have some too. Pancakes make you happy. The audience murmured again, this time with genuine amusement. Even Judge Alden, to everyone's astonishment, allowed a small smile to tug at the corners of his mouth. Emily gasped inwardly. He smiled? For a man who had a reputation for being the toughest judge in Brooklyn, this small moment felt like an earthquake. Judge Alden shook his head as if to regain his composure. We'll take a brief recess, he announced abruptly, his voice firm but gentle. The court clerk leaned forward, clearly surprised. Your Honor, a recess? Judge Alden reiterated, I need a moment. The courtroom buzzed with whispers as the judge rose and disappeared through a side door, leaving everyone, including Emily, staring after him in disbelief. Mommy, Lily whispered, tugging on Emily's sleeve, is he going to get us pancakes? Emily couldn't answer. She didn't know what was happening anymore. But for the first time since she had walked into that cold, intimidating courtroom, she felt something new, hope. Judge Alden leaned slightly forward, his stern facade cracking just a bit. Young lady, are you telling me you're hungry? Liv nodded earnestly. We didn't have breakfast. Emily stammered, trying to apologize. I'm sorry, Your Honor, we rushed here this morning. She didn't mean to interrupt. Judge Alden raised a hand, gently silencing her. Miss Davis, give me a moment. The courtroom buzzed with whispers, people exchanging glances, murmuring about the judge's surprising patience. This was not his usual demeanor. To Emily's surprise, Judge Alden softened his tone and asked directly, what does your mother do for a living? Liv, excited by the question, piped up, she makes cakes and cookies at the bakery and sometimes she works late at a restaurant too. The judge nodded thoughtfully. Sounds like hard work. The room fell silent as Liv continued to speak innocently and truthfully about how hard her mother worked and how they didn't have much time together because she was always busy. Emily stood still, tears welling up as her daughter inadvertently laid bare their struggles for the entire courtroom to hear. As the court proceedings continued, the atmosphere in the room felt different, lighter, as if Lily's innocent honesty had flung open a window and let in the sunlight. Emily sat at the defendant's table with her daughter sitting quietly beside her, legs swinging contentedly from the unexpected pancakes. Judge Alden re-entered the room, his black robe billowing as he took his seat. The room fell silent again, but this time there was no tension. The usual weight of his presence had softened, replaced by something no one had expected, understanding. Clearing his throat, Judge Alden adjusted his glasses. He looked directly at Emily. Ms. Davis, he began, his voice even but with a newfound warmth, I've reviewed your file. Emily held her breath, bracing herself as her mind raced. Would he reduce the fine? Would he allow payment in installments? Her heart pounded as she prepared for the worst. You have a clean record, the judge continued, not a single ticket, citation, or legal infraction. You've done your best to live within the law, and I understand the circumstances that led to this. Emily gripped the edge of the table, the room seeming to shrink around her as she waited for the decision that would change everything. Then the words came, hitting her like a wave of relief. Given your history and your efforts to provide for your daughter, Judge Alden said, his voice strong and clear, I dismiss the $200 ticket. For a brief moment, no one moved. Then it happened. The quiet courtroom erupted in applause, at first soft, then building into a crescendo of clapping, murmurs, and even a few cheers. The court clerk's stern expression cracked into a small smile, and those in the gallery nodded in approval, whispering things like, "It's about time," and "That's the right decision." Emily gasped, her hands flying to her mouth as tears streamed down her face. She couldn't believe what she had just heard. Her shoulders slumped as if a weight had been lifted, a burden she had carried for far too long. "Thank you," she whispered through her tears, her voice thick with emotion. "Thank you so much, Your Honor." Lily looked up at her mother, beaming as if she had known all along that everything would be all right. "See, Mommy? I told you, pancakes make people happy." The courtroom chuckled softly, but Judge Alden wasn't finished. He reached for a folder on his desk and carefully opened it. "Ms. Davis," he said, addressing her with a newfound gentleness, "while dismissing this ticket alleviates some of the immediate stress, I recognize it doesn't address the larger challenges you face." Emily looked up, confusion mingling with relief on her tear-streaked face. "I'm providing you with resources that may help," Judge Alden said as he handed a printed sheet to the court clerk, who brought it to Emily. "This list includes programs for child care assistance, vocational training, and most importantly, a free online degree program for you." Emily stared at the paper as the words on the page blurred through her tears. They were there, real opportunities, resources she hadn't known existed. "Vocational training, childcare," she whispered, her voice catching as she read the words aloud. Her hands trembled as she held the list, as if it might disappear if she let go. Judge Alden continued, "I know that being a single parent comes with challenges most of us can't imagine. These resources will give you a chance to build something better for you and your daughter." Emily's knees shook and she clutched the list to her chest like a lifeline, barely able to look up. I don't know how to thank you," she stammered, her voice completely choked. "You don't have to," Judge Alden said, offering a small but genuine smile. "Justice isn't just about punishment, it's about understanding, about helping when we can." Emily couldn't stop crying, now silent tears of gratitude, disbelief, and relief. Lily, oblivious to the deeper significance of it all, tugged at her mother's sleeve. "Mommy, are you happy now?" Emily pulled her daughter close, pressing a kiss to her curls. "Yes, sweetheart, I'm happy." Judge Alden's voice echoed one last time through the courtroom. "This case is dismissed." The courtroom erupted in applause again, louder this time. People rose to their feet, cheering softly as if they had witnessed something rare and precious. Justice served with a heart. For Emily, it wasn't just about the dismissed ticket, it was about hope restored, about kindness found in the least expected place. As Emily and Lily left the courtroom, the list of resources still clutched in her hand, she glanced back at Judge Alden. He was no longer just a stern judge, he was someone who had seen her, who had cared. "Thank you," she whispered again, but this time it was for more than just the dismissed fine, it was for a second chance. For the first time in years, Emily walked out of a courtroom not with defeat but with strength. And as she held Lily's hand, she realized that even in the most unexpected places, there was kindness and hope for those willing to see it. News of the judge's unexpected act of kindness spread quickly. Local news stations and social media outlets picked up the heartwarming story of a judge who had broken his own mold for the honesty of a hungry 6-year-old. For Emily, it was the start of something new. She enrolled in the online degree program and secured better childcare support. For the first time in years, she felt hopeful. For Judge Alden, the encounter had been transformative as well. He realized that the law was not just about punishment, but about protecting those who needed help the most. Many sunny mornings later, Emily sat at their small kitchen table, studying for her classes as Liv happily munched on her favorite breakfast, pancakes. "Mommy, do you think that nice judge likes pancakes too?" Liv asked with a giggle. Emily smiled warmly. "Yes, sweetheart, I think he does. I really do." Sometimes, a child's honesty can open hearts, change lives, and remind us all that kindness can be found in the most unexpected places. Today's story is a testament to the power of empathy and goodwill even in the places we least expect it. If you were the judge, how would you have handled this situation? Do you believe that sometimes a small act can change someone's life? Share your thoughts in the comments, your opinions can inspire many. If you found this story meaningful, please feel free to share it with your friends and family to spread the value of kindness and understanding together. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to the channel to not miss the next heartwarming stories. A small act, a big change, it all starts with you. Thank you for supporting the channel. Please like, share, and subscribe to receive the latest updates. The stories are collected from various sources and do not represent any individual or organization. They are shared for the purpose of spreading human values and life and have been rewritten with the support of AI. If there are any errors, please overlook them with understanding. Wishing you all the best in life.